Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome into another interview series. Today, we have Ryan of Bootleg Fantasy and Climb the Pocket. Welcome in, Ryan. This is another interview that we put out. This should be coming out on the 18th, I'm pretty sure. The Sunday before this upcoming Sunday, which you guys have no reference to time, so don't even worry about it. Ryan, welcome in. How are you doing today? We'll kick it off.
Well, Tyler, I'm hyped to be here because this is a new friendship that we formed because we're going to be in what seems like a very aggressive dynasty league. So I'm excited about that because I'm tired of being in dynasty leagues that I feel like there's no passion, right? But I have I had to mute the notifications on Sweeper every once in a while just because it gets aggressive in there. But I'm excited to get into it. I'm excited to kind of understand like what you guys are like. I mean, you guys seem like a good group of guys, and I definitely want to talk more about me for sure. Everyone loves that.
Absolutely, and really, guys, this is what these interviews are about. Not just getting to know more people in the community and kind of what it's like and the behind the scenes of content creation, but to get to know these guys in our expert league. We're going to be mentioning them a good bit in our videos. We're going to be doing a weekly kind of fun video where we bring on some of them if they do something completely outlandish via trade or anything crazy happens that we want to bring them on, or if we just talk about them, and you guys are going to get to know the face to the name quite early. And Ryan, we're really excited to have you on, not just for the Expert League, but for this interview series. There's a lot of interesting things about you that kind of are different, maybe just a touch on some of the other people in the league. We got a bunch of big names, and you provide that heavy hitting name on the social media platform. So I'm very excited to kind of jump in and see what it's like, doing what you do.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to explain where I'm from, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And also the face that people are going to remember me by as this terrible mustache, and, I've seen your Photoshop work where you just put people's faces on there, and I'm very afraid that I'm just going to have a mustache.
It is over for you. This is the face. This will be everything from like here on out. Because I'm gonna clip this exact face, freeze frame right there. It's gonna be with the mustache, and I'm plenty proud of doing that. So without further ado, this is what people are gonna remember you by the way.
All right, that's fine.
So without further ado, we'll go and dive into the questions. So just starting with kind of like an overall synopsis of you as a creator on the day-to-day kind of basis. What do you do? What's your daily operations when it comes to Bootleg Fantasy and Climb the Pocket?
Yeah, so with my Twitter, it's just pretty much everything's right off the brain. Anything that I think that I can put out there for more content for anybody to kind of take and spin it their own way, I love tweeting about it. So stats on Daniel Jones I put out yesterday. Do people really want to see stats on Daniel Jones?
Hell yeah.
You're right. They do want to see stats on Daniel Jones. But, yeah, what I like to do is I like to take every kind of angle that I can to provide content to people, right? And I think the problem with fantasy Twitter is people get kind of just sucked into a box where they hear one name that's a sleeper and that's the name they run with, right? So, like, what I like to do is I like to see different players and just take different, I guess, outcomes for what I think they're going to do next year. Because, like, right now people are just banging the drum for Kenyon Drake, right? And I want people to think beyond saying, oh, 3 people have told me that Kenyon Drake's the guy. I'm going to draft him in the second round, right? I want people to think differently. So what I like to do is just find stats that might manipulate Kenyon Drake being a bad player or something like that. So day to day, I just kind of like starting a little bit of Twitter chaos just with stats. And
fantastic.
And, exactly. And with Climb the Pocket, we were coming out of a lull period. We finally got a break after the fantasy season, but you only get about a month or so for that. And then it's draft season, which we are right at the end of. So we're now firing up everybody. Everyone's writing articles. I'm going to be editing a lot of articles. I'm going to be writing my own articles. I'm going to be recording YouTube. And, I mean, I love it. You wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now if you didn't love it. And I wouldn't be either. And it's just given me a creative outlet. And I think that's where you have to start with this, honestly.
Yeah. And we see a lot of guys, at least in the league specifically, are built around either podcasting or just writing. And that kind of different outlet of content, the social media aspect is huge, and
Mm-hmm.
you definitely have that, and that outside the box kind of thinking and development from a content side is very much appreciated. I mean, you have a very large following, and you're now going into this upcoming season, um, probably looking to grow even more
Oh
to
yeah.
where you're at right now. Um, how do you see that developing over time, at least this season? Like any
Mm-hmm.
plans that you kind of are going to incorporate this year that may have been different from past years? Any adjusting to what you're doing right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right now, my goal is 20,000 followers on Twitter around the start of the season. It's pretty lofty. I've been on Twitter since July 2016, so coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
So like 4,000 a year growth. I mean, more at the beginning, obviously, and then slower. But what I'm hoping is to hit 20 because that looks cool. Obviously, everyone likes to flex a little bit, and
Yeah.
like it's just a natural thing. And what I'm gonna do more this year is I'm going to be in front of people more like this. I'm taking more video calls. I'm taking more podcasts. I'm going to
Yeah.
be on YouTube every single week. I just want to provide as much content as possible, especially since I haven't been out of my house for 50 days.
Yeah.
So just making sure all my ducks are in a line this year. We're definitely going to expand Content Pocket with more writers. We're going to provide more content. I mean,
Yeah.
the writers we have now are great, but we're always looking to expand. I mean, I'd be ridiculous to have a platform and not expand, So we're going with us at Content Pocket. We make sure that people don't feel like they're boxed in, right? Because they're doing it for the love of doing it. They're not doing it for compensation. They're not doing it for just getting something out there because they're told to. They're doing it because they want to. And I don't want to take that passion away from them. So I make sure they're writing what they want to write. And if they don't want to write, that's fine. And if they do want to write, we'd love to have you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, you touched on it. I think it's just a question that, I mean, I know we're on the show sheet, but it's just something that like I feel kind of needs to be addressed, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of just get an understanding for your life inside of this quarantine. And I mean, you mentioned it yourself, 50 days inside. I don't know if you're genuinely counting that. That'd be,
It's like,
but if
it's
you
pretty
are,
close. It's
yeah, so
close.
close. I mean, by the time this comes out, I mean, you can just go ahead and add 2 more weeks to
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, you're looking at a lot of time that you've had. I mean, I know me personally, I've had a lot of time to sit at the computer and try and grow what we're building,
Exactly.
not just here, but also marketing myself on other podcasts as well, just trying to grow the brand in any way possible. And you kind of find that time now that you're always home and you have that available time. How do you think this quarantine has kind of adjusted your day to day and helped maybe better yourself as a someone who's marketing themselves,
Right.
but also your company?
Well, for one, it allowed me to just reintroduce myself to the love that I have for sports, right? Sports were taken from us, and it's been the most unfortunate thing. Like just for the casual day where you can just go home and you have a sporting event on, right? I love every single sport.
Same.
If it's on, I'm watching it, right?
Yeah.
I've been watching Korean baseball highlights. Like it's just in me, So
Yeah.
like it's not there anymore. So it reignited the fire that's like in me for my love of sports. Like it's like when you hear about marriages that don't go too well and then like they spend some time apart and they're like, wow, that is what I need in my life. And that's what it feels like, honestly. I feel like I've been without something that I've almost taken for granted. And when it's back, I'm not going to take it for granted anymore. So I've been kind of just refining everything I do from writing to just
Yeah.
being on camera, especially because I wasn't really a good person on camera when I started. When I started, it was rough because there's a learning curve for everything.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
this and being on YouTube with Climb the Pocket and just my first couple of podcasts were brutal. Like if I don't know where they are, but the first couple of podcasts I did with Climb the Pocket when I was, I don't know, a couple months into doing this, it's awkward. And I've kind of just gone back, listened to them, seen what I've done poorly, and just kind of developed that. So it's been a solid quarantine because I've kind of just been reinvigorated.
Yeah. Yeah. And the camera presence really is kind of an underrated
Yeah.
thing. I
Yeah.
mean, that development does take time. I mean, I was an artsy person, so I did theater and choir. Yeah, but I also like sports, so I merged those two together. So the transition for the on the camera kind of presence, it just takes away the crowd, and now you're putting the crowd virtually. So there's still a learning curve even
For
in that
sure.
transition for me. So yeah, it's definitely something that's kind of not touched on too often,
Mhm.
but growing into the comfortability behind the camera is quite important. And then yeah, I mean, the time that I've had to grow kind of what I'm working on here, it's been kind of exciting. I've been
Yeah.
able to put in a lot of energy towards this that I probably wouldn't have had. I mean, so school ended kind of in March. I mean, we stopped doing stuff, in person around the end of March, which meant I didn't have an hour commute to school and then back to home. So that meant that's just 2 hours extra that I could work on
For sure.
on the content, and all the time that was spent at school as well. So yeah, I mean, just like you, I've had this reigniting of just passion for the content
Yeah.
that I'm creating. So so we kind of touched on the beginnings of you as a writer.
Mhm.
Was the initial kind of start of that, was it challenging? Did someone reach out to you? Did you have to kind of market yourself out to people to see if you could find a spot to grow from, or how was that handled?
So to start, I started with my first articles were NFL draft articles with Fansided, and I was fresh out of college a couple years ago. And I was bored, like when you're done with school, like what do you do now? Like you had your time almost handled for you for the first 22 years of your life, right? And now
Yeah.
I got all this extra time. And I reached out to Fansided and I was like, hey, do you guys have anywhere I can write anything, like football, baseball, whatever? And they said, yeah, if you want to write NFL draft stuff, like that'd be great. And that's where I started. My first article, I believe, was on Tua, on his spring game for Alabama, on how he lit it up, and I was concerned for Jalen Hurts, which was kind of sick. Now going back and seeing
Yeah.
it now, uh, I'll link it to you later, but I think it's still up. It's got to be right. But
I'm gonna put it in the description now. It's happening.
beautiful, good,
We're gonna
good.
read this.
And not a perfect article at all, but like the knowledge of sports was like it's always been there. So like finding an outlet was what I needed, and
Mhm.
reaching out to Fanside really helped me kind of expand as a writer. Before I was just on Twitter, just throwing random tweets out and hoping I'd go viral almost, it
That's
wasn't me trying to like be a brand. And once I realized like, oh, I've got a passion for this, it just kind of took off.
Yeah, and that's important when you do find that kind of switch of I
Mhm.
want to make this legitimate. I want to
Yeah.
grow it in anywhere possible. And that growing of a brand, especially on the circle of social media platforming and content,
Hmm.
is a challenge because you're competing against not only the people that are just trying to grow, and not that
Hmm.
that was what your intention was, but you're the people growing just strictly off of social media content, and then you're also battling the people that have podcasts and people
Right.
know the face, and then you have the writing companies as well. So getting that start to start growing into a Twitter kind of staple for content, was
Yeah.
that a challenge for you at all? How do you go about dealing with building yourself on Twitter?
Right. So luckily, I was lucky and I was kind of in the Wild West era of Twitter, where Twitter, there was not too many rules in 2016
Mhm.
as they are today. And I grew pretty quickly because people just loved following everyone and anyone. And I had a group chat with a couple guys, 360 FFB being one of them, and we just helped each other grow. We retweeted all of each other's stuff because we wanted to grow as just individuals, have our accounts be bigger than they should be, honestly. I mean, that was kind of the start where, oh, if other people with following help me out, like we can all make it together, right?
Mhm.
And that was kind of where it all started. And then from that, pretty much everyone that was in that group chat turned into Climb the Pocket, which
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, so it's tough to say like like my growth, like where it fully started, but just putting constant content out is like the number one thing you have to do.
Yeah. And I've kind of started, I found that clips of shows, even if it's just, I
Yeah.
posted, one of our GOG clips, which that's
Yep.
really just a fun segment that we have.
Yep.
It'll be incorporated in our league videos for people that do
Hmm.
still kind of like that content. So that'll be like our Saturday videos, down the line. But, I clip that, and people are drawn and interested in that. And Twitter has a limit, I learned, of 2 minutes and 20
Yep.
seconds. So yeah, I started with a 4-minute clip with a lot of frustration on why I couldn't upload
Yeah.
it, to finally learning about Twitter limits
Exactly.
and working with it, because you have you can build yourself off of those clips, because people look at that and they're interested
Hmm.
with that same way with the stats. Just kind of throwing stuff out there is, it may get traction somewhere, but it's those clips
Yeah.
and those big stats. I mean, so specifically for an example, I mean, I had a Lawrence Cager, Georgia wide receiver,
Right.
undrafted free agent. It was like, I just wanted to hype him up because I just really
Right.
liked him as a talent coming out of college. So I post this clip of him, it was 2 straight plays, and then it was the play after, where he just lit up Notre Dame on just one
Hmm.
drive. And I just posted those three consecutive plays in a row, and
Right.
then I clipped that together, posted on my Twitter. I gained no traction really from it, at least at the beginning. And then the Jets, so no team drafted him, which kind
Yeah.
of made me
Jets.
sad.
Jets. Jets picked him up.
And then the
I was
Jets
hyped
picked him
about
up,
that.
and then all around now, I got all these Jets guys coming in. I'm a Dolphin fan, so if you think I enjoyed that, I did not. So I got, I'm hitting 100 retweets. I'm hitting,
Hmm.
200 like. I mean, this is crazy stuff. This isn't normal stuff. So it's like, you have that kind of content. You have people that, once when they figure out who this
Right.
player is, he's on their team now. They gain interest. They're like, okay, who is this guy we just randomly picked up? And that's kind of how things can kind of go into a snowball effect of just really good stuff for you as a brand. And then now people are checking you out and links and all that stuff, so it's just,
Exactly.
it connects really well. So you never know when you're going to hit on that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's nuts.
It is.
It's crazy. I mean, I put a tweet out the week before the Eagles played the Seahawks in the playoffs, and it was Jadeveon Clowney's hit. Like it was like Jadeveon Clowney had the greatest ball don't lie hit of the century, because like the play before Clowney's hit was a blown call by the ref. It hit like 95,000 likes, and it was just a tweet that I just tossed out there. Like I
Yeah.
think it was in Dick's Sporting Goods. So like any tweet you put out there can blow up if it finds the right like path and avenue. Like
Yeah.
DK Metcalf retweeted it. Like Tyreek Hill retweeted it. Like that's the crazy thing about social media, is that it can get picked up by anybody and it can just take off like wildfire.
Oh,
And then
completely.
Jadeveon Clowney took Carson Wentz out of the playoff game. So
Yeah.
I'm sick. I'm sick about that tweet still.
So yeah, so like, I had Jets beat reporters just
Yeah.
like retweeting this. So just because no one knows who this is, and no one's gonna like pretend to know who Lawrence Cager is, because you just don't. So
Exactly.
I put in that kind of research, and just building the kind of a set of film just
Hmm.
for just for my viewers that are just normal people that are like, hey, look at this guy. No one has him in their top 25. Just look at him. He's pretty good. And I did it with Keyshawn Vaughn too, and that video never really got off the ground. And I was really surprised because he was picked quite early with the
Hmm.
Bucks. So I was like, that could get off too, but it never did. So an undrafted free agent is my biggest boom tweet. So that's kind of a funny story to tell people. So we'll kind of dive outside of fantasy sports just for a
Hmm.
little bit, just to get a taste of you as a person outside of
Yep.
sports and all of that. So kind of what do you kind of do when you're not working on either Bootleg or climbing?
Yeah. So I work in finance. So I've been working from home for the last 50 odd days.
Yeah.
Not an actual number. Yeah, I work in finance, graduated 2016 from Westchester, home of Gino Auriemma, women's basketball coach for
There
UConn.
you go.
And I think that's pretty much it. Asher Roth went there. He just dropped a new album.
No idea.
You got
I'm,
nothing on Asher Roth.
I'm 70s music all the way. I'm like a 70-year-old man. It's crazy.
Okay, so when kids would play a Poser song called "I Love College" and would like chant "freshman," got nothing. It's a terrible
No,
song. It's a
I'm winging
terrible
a
song.
miss.
Listen.
Do you
It's
know
fine.
the doors? No, an issue. How much trouble? So finance. Okay. So does that?
Finance,
Yeah.
and like I live at home, save money. I work in finance, so I know the value of the dollar. So I'm not going to spend too much until I'm completely ready to do so,
Yeah.
which I've been told that I need to soon. My girlfriend of 7 years is starting to, push a little quicker on. Yeah, it's brutal, you know. But yeah, so my normal day, work. I go to the gym, play pickup basketball pretty much every night. So anybody listening to this can get crossed. I play similar to JJ Redick or Kirk Heinrich
There you go.
because I'm short and slow, and that's about it. Yeah,
Check out your
normal
local
day.
YMCA
Yeah.
just in case. Yeah.
Hey, we got LA Fitness out here. We're balling on a $24.99 a month budget out here.
All right. There you
So
go.
yeah, just a normal dude. I don't do anything too crazy. I enjoy my pasta dishes, even though I'm very Irish.
There you go.
And normal stuff. Live outside Philadelphia, 35 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So I ride for all four Philadelphia sports teams. Diehard Eagles fan. And if anyone wants to challenge me with Carson Wentz slander, Danny does it. Danny sends the most aggressive
Danny can't.
messages.
Danny can't even read. So let's.
Good. It's very obvious. He'll just out of nowhere be like, Dak's completion percentage in 2018 was better than Carson Wentz's, and I'll be like, dude, it's like 10:30 at night. I'm just trying to play video games right now. Please leave me alone.
I know it's Isn't he just fantastic?
It's like I wasn't trying to start anything. I was just saying that it was a better completion percentage. I'm like,
That's all right. Special teams is the reason the Cowboys aren't successful.
that's
Anyways,
what he's been pounding the drum for that in the one group. These special teams and our head coach. And I was like, dude, Mike McCarthy stinks. That's why Aaron Rodgers only has one Super Bowl.
no, he took off a year to get better, right? Because okay, all right, we'll kind of jump off of that. So, does your job in financing kind of benefit what you do in kind of the fantasy space at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I work in fantasy. I work in finance, and that's all numbers. It's all manipulation of numbers. Essentially, it's just me trying to figure out how things can work, how things performed. I work in the performance area of finance, so I break down how different funds work, and present it in a way that the clients and the advisors want to see it, and they want to present it to everybody else. So I can take stats, see how they work for each argument I have, each player I need to outline, and I present it that way. It's normally not usually to manipulate the numbers at all for fantasy. It's more to provide context to the argument that I have. And normally I'm straight up with it unless somebody is coming at me with a Dak Prescott argument, and then I'll manipulate it the wrong way in his favor. So,
well, there you go. Yeah. Dak's Jake Fromm is my comp for Dak this year.
Don't hate that.
Yeah, exactly. They're both game managers who are in the SEC and didn't do much. LOL. So we'll kind of bounce to this. How do you kind of balance that life of not just the social media platform presence and making sure you have content on there that people can find, but also the writing and the podcasting, as well as what you're doing for your job. So how do you kind of balance that time wise and all over?
Yeah. So I mean, I work 8:30 to 4:30, so that's pretty set in stone. I'll go in early sometimes just to get out of there early. Work, they make it pretty easy for me to just have a solid schedule. Fantasy is where it gets tricky because there's always news all the time, and it never stops.
Yeah.
At any point of the year, there's always something. So luckily, with Climb the Pocket, I've got a solid team around me that gets stuff out immediately. Like, we all get all the content out for Bootleg Fantasy. And me personally, when I write, I make sure that I have time in the evenings. I'm a pretty scheduled guy, so I'll come home from work when I get to leave the house. I'll eat. I'll go to the gym till 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then the last 2 hours, 3 hours of the night, if I need to write something, I've got the time to. And then I've got a set schedule with Climb the Pocket with our YouTube to make sure that, hey, we're getting stuff out consistently, because that's a huge part of the algorithm.
Absolutely.
Like you need to have consistency, or all of a sudden your YouTube videos have 1/10 of the views, which
Yeah.
makes no sense to me, but I didn't make the
Yeah, well, I
platform.
mean, there's just so much, and it's something that you learn kind of as you grow into it.
100%.
Again, I'm not gonna say that I have all the experience in the world. I think, what is this, fourth month, fourth month going in to kind of producing content, and I'm just starting to understand the YouTube, the
For
time,
sure.
the time benefits, setting it as early in the morning as possible so that people can watch it, throughout the
Exactly.
day. Like it's there.
You need
Keeping
10
it
minutes. You need
consistent. Yeah.
10 minutes and 3 seconds is optimal. I don't know, like the algorithm itself, I'll never understand it, right? But I know like a couple things that allow it to be in your favor, right? Uh, if you schedule your videos, it helps as well.
Yeah, the
And
consistency. Yeah, it's
it's crazy.
important. Yeah.
And the traction you can gain from that is unparalleled. Like we started our YouTube last year. Like it was a new thing for us. Like we didn't really use it. Like I think 2017 we did a live Sunday show where it was me, uh, Dan, 360 FFB, down with Damon, who does not work with us anymore, and Jonders FPT. And we would answer questions before the games on Sunday. And that was it. And we felt last year we weren't utilizing the ever growing platform of YouTube. So I think having all phases of social media is huge for growth.
Yeah.
And you're recent to Twitter pretty much, because I'm pretty sure, I think a couple months ago you passed 100 followers. I think you're like 98. I was like, dude, we need to get this guy to at least 100 followers. Like,
What a day that was. That was what, 2 days where I grew like 150 people. I mean, that was just, that's just the thing. Like we haven't even gotten into that, but like the support like throughout the community is just ridiculous. I mean, the help that, everyone's kind of willing to grow each other, which you touched on earlier of, growing each other is helped me kind of get more serious as a content creator. Cause I know it doesn't sound like much kind of when you take a step back, but that 150 people getting to 250 or some odd, wherever I'm at, people are willing to message me more, build a schedule for the future. Hey, can I pop on your show? Yeah. Now they're more intrigued in answering me. They see that I'm more established. Even though, I think this
you haven't changed too much as a human in the last month.
Exactly.
But,
and I've been on 8 podcasts. That's the goal. I want to be everywhere. And I think now that I've gotten to this point, I've gained more legitimacy. I know, and as much as they may not, I know I've gotten onto a podcast before. That's solely based off the fact that I kind of had a bigger following and they thought they could get some traction off of it, which is perfect. I mean, it works for me. So I know that just that little bit of help was so beneficial. And I know you were a big pulling point of that. So I appreciate that.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the reason I'm on Twitter. Like if I wanted to not talk to people on Twitter, I would just follow 0 people like Skip Bayless, like, and just yell at a wall. But I mean, I found out real early that like you're not going to stick on Twitter if you don't have people around you that you'll probably never meet in real life, but ride with you, which is crazy. You know what I mean? So I think just the people I've gotten to work with in the last 4 years, I mean, it's invaluable. Like I'll always know who they are. Just I'll always hate the all Pittsburgh teams because of Dan. Like I've never met him. I play Xbox with him every single night. Never met him. Like it's crazy. And like if I told somebody like 10 years ago, like, all of a sudden I'm just going to be talking to random people throughout the country. Like Jonders he's our host for Battle in the Trenches. He lives in Indiana and Steve lives in Florida. And we're all
that way, Steve. Let's go, Florida boys.
I'll introduce Steve to you because he loves doing all of this stuff. Like he was new to us last year and he's been great. I mean, he does all of our YouTube stuff and he produces it and he turns it around in a day mostly. Sometimes hours. Like we'll record, he'll produce it, and it's up the same night. And I mean, just having people I can trust to put stuff out that I'm proud of still, even though I might not have touched it that much, is crazy.
I mean, again, this is the social media the growth of that was definitely huge for me. And again, I appreciate that because it did take me and it elevated me to a level of at least more kind of professionalism. I would
Yeah,
say, because you have now a following that follows with you, and I think again, just on the growing of social media, I think the clips are going to benefit.
100%.
Yeah. So
Because we live in a society now that is more instant gratification paired with curiosity, right?
yeah,
So if you tease somebody with something that they might be interested in, and like, so what we found with our site is if you put like two or three of the guys in your rankings, like he's number 5, he's number 7, he's number 9, people will want to see who's above them and who's below them because there's just an instant curiosity.
yeah,
Like, what is he going to say next, kind of thing. And clips is perfect for, like, I'm 25 years old. People don't like reading, which is crazy to me.
yeah.
So just hearing a voice, seeing production, people like that a lot more. So definitely clips are A+.
Yeah, and kind of bouncing off to another kind of circle of content, and again balancing not just the career that you have along with bootleg and
Hmm.
climb the pocket. How do you balance just those two waves of content, or anything else you're kind of incorporating too? I mean, I know you
Hmm.
mentioned the schedule. How does
Yeah,
that work for you? How would you recommend someone kind of stepping into the content world function
right.
kind of multiple ways of content?
You have to leap in. Like, I would not say step in, because you need to be committed to it or it's not going to work. You know what I mean? Like, if
Gotcha.
if you're not ready to do it, it's not going to work out for you. And I know that's like harsh, and I don't make money off this. Like, it's not like a thing where I'm like, this is a ton of money. Like, this is why I'm still doing it. I do it
Oh
personally
yeah,
because I love it, you know?
absolutely.
And if you don't love it, like, it's not worth your time, because you're not going to put out content that you love as well. And it's not going to get feedback that you want because it's not written probably well.
Yeah,
And if you don't love it, you're not going to put in the amount of work that needs to get done for you to get anywhere with it.
absolutely.
Um, and that's coming from me, where I feel like I've got to make a billion more steps to make any more headway, you know? Um, so just the balancing of that kind of stuff, it just all comes down to me just enjoying it. And I've got a team around me that makes it easy, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to have that balance,
Exactly.
and you got to have the passion too. I mean, that's something that kind of just gets kind of thrown away to the
For
wayside
sure.
when people are like, "Yeah, I could do this."
Exactly. It doesn't get past the bar room argument where that people are like, yeah, like, let's make a podcast. If you're not like 100% about it, like, it's not going to work. And luckily for me, the balance between the two things is, it's my website, you know, like, it's me and Dan's website. Like, we work on it together. So if I need to work on something for just my Twitter and just put out a thread, somebody can write something for me for Calm the Pocket, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
it's easier for me to just take, I guess, take my time with stuff, because it's not, I don't know, it's not a necessity that I'm working for somebody to do it. Um, like, I don't have to provide it to somebody above me, and that makes it a lot easier for me. I get to work on my own time, but at the same time, I'm still going to get it done because I love what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. In kind of going into kind of another part of the overall content,
Right.
it's how do you kind of handle providing
Hmm.
that dependable content,
Right.
kind of with how you schedule it out,
Hmm.
maybe, or when people are expecting it, or just kind of flooding them with it, and hopefully you gain traction on something,
Hmm.
something from
For
that,
sure.
whether it be with the writing, or the videos, or just the overall the Twitter content you put out.
Right. So Twitter, I'm lucky. It just kind of like stuff that I tweet out. I'll tweet out 1,000 times in a day. If, like, it just continuously rolls out. It's just something that I enjoyed talking. Like, I just like starting dialogues with people just on anything, anything football related, anything sports related. Like, people would get mad at me before, like, probably 2018 ish, where I'd tweet about just random stuff and be like, dude, like, your fantasy football account, and like,
Yeah.
tweet fantasy football stuff, and like, I'm upfront with them. I'm a Philadelphia sports fan, for one. Two, most of the time people don't need 30,000 texts from me. So I'm just going to tweet it and you can unfollow me. It's fine. So stuff like that, I just tweet out really whatever comes to mind because
Yeah.
that's who I am. My Twitter is a look into who I am as a person. I think I tweeted about Bryce Harper's signing with the Phillies for like 3 or 4 months, like the entire, like, it was like December to when he signed. It was brutal. It was just
Yeah.
me being teased by Bryce Harper for 3 months. He showed up, which is fine. But yeah, I think having a set schedule for Climb the Pocket is huge. I've got people that need me to set it, you know, like if it was just me, I'd be putting out stuff all the time, but I need to work with people. My rankings I do with Dan, like me and Dan both do rankings and
Yeah.
we provide them at the same time. So I need to be accountable for him, likewise for me. And with the YouTube videos, I know that there's a time period that it takes for them to get produced, to even get uploaded, which I didn't fully realize that they should just be uploaded immediately. But it takes like 3 hours for a video to get uploaded, which is crazy.
Yep. It is
like,
not fun.
like I didn't realize that, and sometimes it doesn't even work. So I always like having a nice buffer period of time because I want the consistency, you know.
Yeah.
And there's algorithms with everything, so that's a key. And I mean, with articles, I'd rather put out a rankings article and be able to have that out early than have 75 questions on a Sunday. Like, hey, who should I start, Spencer Ware or somebody else that's terrible? Like, I want to provide the content so people rely on me, but don't have to like feel like they're bugging me because it's already out there.
Yeah, and that just kind of bounces again right off of that YouTube stuff. I mean, that's a picky bitch. I'm gonna be real. YouTube is a problem. Kind of just making sure you kind of manipulate it to where you're gonna get the most views,
For sure.
the most, just you just want to be seen.
Exactly.
That's really what it's about. If people see you in the recommended videos,
Mm-hmm.
your chances of getting hit on is very likely. So that's really what you're aiming for.
100%.
So keeping that consistency and scheduling just in that is something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we try and we go 6 a.m. every single video, whether we're posting, 5 or we're posting 1. That's something we've had to learn.
Yeah.
We're trying to space it out a little bit more, but we're like, why? I mean, we just got to put it all out there, give the viewers the longest chance to kind of function. And then
Right.
other stuff with the SEOs is the tags, and there's just so much to it.
Oh, it's brutal. It's
Yeah.
brutal. I mean, with articles, like I'll put 70 stinking tags on there just so it hits some pipeline. Like I'm still getting hits on an article I wrote. I think it was Jay Ajayi versus Lev Bell from like 3 years ago because
Wow.
apparently people want to read about either Lev Bell or Jay Ajayi, and it still shows up. It makes no sense to me why that's still there, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it comes from anywhere. I mean, again, I mentioned earlier the Lawrence Cager thing. Like, come on,
Yeah.
an undrafted free agent's going to be my biggest post. Whatever, it's all right. And you'll take anything.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that was just kind of. I felt that was quite out of the blue with how that hit. But kind of moving on. Do you kind of find a challenge in growing larger in kind of what you're building as a content creator, whether that this be on the social media or any other of the platforms that you feature on?
For sure. I mean, Instagram has been an issue. We've tried Instagram. Instagram's brutal because you need to put 1,000 hashtags and there's no way that anyone sees it anyway. So that's been probably that's going to be our goal this year is we're going to try to grow on Instagram for Climb the Pocket. It's currently somehow connected to my Instagram, so I have to run it because if I give it to anybody else, they get my Instagram as well, and I need them out of my DMs. So that would be brutal. But honestly, you just need to put the work in. And with YouTube, we're getting there, but we're nowhere near where we want to be, right? YouTube's a new avenue for us. We feel like having video content is what people want to see. Just see a couple cool graphics, see that kind of stuff. It puts a face to us as well. It gives us relatability. And that's where we want to grow next. And it's definitely been challenging because I started on Twitter. I know how Twitter works. I know what works for Twitter. But moving into other avenues is definitely tougher. And I feel like everyone's just kind of learning together with it, honestly. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys are learning too.
absolutely. And, that's the name of the game is consistent growth. Growth leads to success, which leads to, I think, the people that are truly passionate about it. I mean, the dream situation is that I don't have to leave college with a job. This is my job. And
Exactly.
that kind of sounds crazy, but I mean, I'm 18. I think that
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
surprises people. I mean, I'm a child. I finished a year of college early this year. In my senior year,
Not bad.
I
Not
finished
bad.
high school early in my junior year, so I could do this, knock out a year because I want to do 7 years for contractual law. So that's 7 years in my mind. That's 7 years that I have to either grow myself,
Right.
FSE. I have to grow with Notorious. Any kind of platform that I can
Right.
grow myself as to
Exactly.
turn this into a career. Because contractual law, I mean, that's really it's either going or it's not. More or less, just if you're for agents, whether it be any sport possible. I mean, it's not around the clock kind of work where some other stuff is.
Yeah.
So I kind of
You make a killing right now, though. Like, with
absolutely,
with the contracts
yeah,
that are getting looked over right now with the virus,
yeah.
you would be swimming in it
That's the thing, and then also getting an MBA on the same
for
kind of
sure.
route. So just making sure I have that background. That
Yeah.
if one day I just do something stupid and nuke my entire career, I can step on and still make it in life per se, consistent through college. Because I always have to keep in the back of the mind. Well, yes, I'm going to put in as much effort as I can to
For
grow
sure.
myself now. I want to be able to have that backup option, and I think. That's one thing in the passion side. Yeah, you got to have a lot of passion to do this, but you also got to play it smart too. And that I kind
100%.
of feel is what I'm trying to do to help myself, at least in that aspect. But again, I want to make a career out of this, so I'm going to put in as much effort as possible.
Would you like a quick story on being smart? Because
Do
I
it.
have. So 2018 was when Baker Mayfield got drafted. Um, Damon, who I referenced earlier, Cleveland Browns fan. He's at Down with Damon on Twitter. He was one of the co-founders with us, and he was very adamant that he wanted Josh Rosen as his quarterback. He, for some reason, tweeted out about Baker Mayfield missing the combine as like he was soft or something like that. And Baker Mayfield responded to him. Baker Mayfield, if you go back and search Baker Mayfield sick mom combine, Climb the Pocket comes up in some capacity
Yeah,
because our editor at that point tweeted irrationally at Baker Mayfield, and because Twitter is so quick,
love it.
and so he eventually, of course, got Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. But that's kind of when it ended with him working on our site because he didn't want to be involved with sports too much anymore because he got bodied by his future quarterback. So everything you do can hold weight and make sure you don't say anything dumb. And that's kind of my thing with that.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's towards Baker, that I actually.
Uh, yeah, exactly. I mean, at the time,
Yeah,
we were in just absolute panic mode, and it was a nightmare
yeah,
because it was on like Barstool Sports. Like Damon has tweeted this at Baker Mayfield, and Baker fires back. Like it was brutal for like a couple weeks
yeah.
where we were just getting fried for having the guy that made fun of Baker Mayfield when his mom was sick. So make sure you don't tweet anything out without knowledge, Tyler. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's definitely some life advice. Yeah, because I mean, again, it's you're trying to gain traction, but there is lines.
100%.
So yeah, building that, it's important. Um, Going off of that, how do you think you probably could have? Do you even think? I mean, because a
Mhm.
lot of the times we feel that we kind of grow to a point, and it's because of everything just
For sure.
happening and lining up and just consistently, and
Mhm.
even the failures have grown us. Do you think there's anything you would have changed to kind of grow yourself as a content creator, whether that be on your social medias or your writing at all?
I think the first couple years, I think I should have been kind of more aggressive with it, right? And that's what I'm starting to get into now. I'm trying to be more aggressive. I'm trying to be more just kind of in the face of everybody, you know. Like I had a smaller platform to say what I was thinking, but people didn't know if there was 2 or 3 people behind my account, and like people didn't know what I was about. But like now people know it's me. I tried to put my voice out there as much as possible, uh, mostly because I was nervous to put my face out there. You know, like it's nerve wracking to have opinions and then have people know what you look like and shut it down. You know, so that's why I made the whole bootleg fantasy. Like
Hmm.
at the beginning, it was I want to talk about sports. I don't want people to see my face because I'm nervous what people will think.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, it took off more than I thought it would. And yeah, I wish I would have been almost more personable. So like people don't think it's just they're talking to a brand of people, like a group of
Yeah.
people. Like it's literally just me. And I had an iPhone 6 until about 2 months ago, just firing tweets off. So like
Yeah.
I wish I was more personable
Hmm.
because I feel like that's where I thrive. Like I feel like me being able to talk to people and just talking about a little bit of everything. That's what I would change. So I like that at least you put your face to it, even though you got the shades going.
Yeah, and again, that's just I kind of knew from the start
Hmm.
that I'm coming in as someone with zero traction at all. Just
Hmm.
in all honesty, I'm coming in as someone who is going to step on brands that have had at least a year of establishment. Um, I know where I wanted to be at the time of starting.
Right.
Um, and surprisingly, this almost wasn't a thing. I almost had my first video ever was on a channel which I'm not going to plug because I don't like him. Just being honest, just being honest, he's not going to see this. I don't give a shit. But like my first my first spot, I actually was doing a call like this, where I was glassesless. I was just me in this room, just just filming, and it slipped up, and apparently there was some issues with his videoing, and he decided just to put pictures up, and instead of our faces. I kind of grow with that brand for a little bit, and he didn't really want me to be personable. Not kind of put a face to my name, which was something I was really passionate about because I thought I think the way to grow is to have your audience know who you are, to put a
Sure.
face to you. I feel like the personality is what people come by, and
Sure.
the content is just that additional. Unless you're just someone just roaming for it, but when you have a consistent fan base, they're coming for your personality as well as your takes. So building that, I felt like with that company, I didn't have that. I moved on. We split ways, and I joined on to another company who was really big in promoting yourself as a brand, as well as the brand itself. So I kind of came up with this mantra. So I've never been featured on camera without them. Obviously, I don't live life with glasses on the whole time, but it's kind of been a brand that I've built, which I think was necessary. It's recognizable.
Yeah.
I'm sure people don't maybe not remember my name, but I mean, there's comments where I feature on other channels. So like Mr. Sunglasses, I get referred to a lot to as. So it's just building that personal brand, whether it's through passionate comments or passionate hateful comments. I take both, but I think building that face to face kind of brand was very important, and I guess that kind of leads me to ask. I mean, would you have wanted to be a little bit more personal at the beginning? I mean, I know that's where you're kind of looking to grow into now. Was that
For
something at the
sure.
time you necessarily wanted to produce? I know it wasn't, but if you could change that, would you have?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming out of college, I was 21, 22,
Yeah.
21 because I turned 22 in July. But yeah, I was young. I didn't want to put my face to a couple hot takes I'd throw out there.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it stopped people from kind of knowing me, as a human instead of just a green logo. Um,
Mhm.
For sure. It was a point of mine in the year after to start feeling comfortable talking. I mean, tweets are just my thoughts regurgitated. Why can't I just speak on podcasts? Why can't I just be in front of a camera? I
Yeah.
don't think I'm the ugliest human in the world. It's not that. It's just socially, it was uncomfortable for me.
Mhm.
Just I don't think it's more of a mental block for me. Um,
Yeah.
just because I wasn't raised like that. I played baseball. I was not in our Bishop Shanahan, my high school. We had a very great chorus. I was not in the chorus. I was never in front of people.
Mhm.
So it wasn't something that I was really grown into. So I wasn't ready to just develop into this. I'm in your face. I'm going to give you all my ideas. But now here I am 4 years later talking to you, who this is the first time we've hopped on a video. This
Yeah.
is great.
This
I've got
is
a
electric stuff we're building here.
I've got a mustache and a goatee. I look like Gardner Minshew's dumb brother. And like it's fine with me now. Like I'm in year 2 of being on camera and it's easier. Like it just
Yeah.
comes naturally. Like if I I was on a podcast with somebody that no longer has fancy Twitter. I forget what they're called, like the fancy guys you fantasize about or something like that.
Hey,
And it's a
there's a
good
few of those.
name.
There's a few of those out there.
It's a
You know
good
who you are.
name. It's a good name. But I never talked to them before. And like they're like, oh, like you have 7,000 followers. Like you should hop on our podcast. I'm like, I did. And it was the most uncomfortable thing in the world for me because I
Yeah.
think it was like the second or third podcast I ever did with people I didn't speak to ever before. And I felt then like, hey, people are going to keep asking me to do this. I need to get better at it. And I wish that I would have gotten it out earlier, instead of me down the line when people want me to do it, I look like an idiot. So I wanted to get better at it. And that's kind of what the last 2 years have been.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of, I mean, I talked about it earlier. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've always had that kind of electrifying personality where it's just always been really comfortable with it,
Yep.
with me on camera. But I'm not going to lie to you. There was goals that I had, and I kind of mentioned it in past videos. I mean, we just did an interview which had released Sunday of the week that we're recording this, but it would be 2 weeks when this comes out.
Right.
2 Sundays ago with Snacks
Mm-hmm.
of BDGE.
Right.
My entire goal was in a year, I wanted them to know who I was.
Right.
And
Right.
it happened in 2 months.
Yeah.
And did I expect that at all? No. And I think that was just me gaining that comfortability in behind the camera. And I've always kind of had that in life. I mean, like you said, I mean, I had 10 years of baseball experience, but I was always a band kid at the same time. Choir, theater. So I was an artsy person as well. I just really liked being able to express myself. I was always the funny person in school while, still attempting to take school seriously, promoting for the kids, take school seriously, but always have that personality that I felt was going to translate well on camera. But I mean, there's still a learning curve. I mean, it's not, I didn't step on camera and boom, I was there. Sure, it didn't take me a ridiculous amount of time, but it was something to grow into. And then going into goals, I kind of just I kind of just bounced off of that for a second. But going into goals, I mean, again, it was get the BDG guys to know who I
Right.
was. I did a combine. They did a combine video, and me and Notorious Fantasies in
Mm-hmm.
our league. You've seen him on the channel a few times, guys.
Yep.
I pitched an idea to him. I'm like, okay, so we have these analysts. They come on and they break down the combine, and it's always, they take it really seriously. They dress up. What if we took their combine? We dressed up. We tried to take it as seriously as possible while being absolutely hilarious, and that's what we did. And I tip my hat off to Nick. I spent like 13 hours, I think, just like almost straight, just editing every little bit possible to
Jeez.
make that video as good as it can be. And if I could have done it again, I would have, because it was rough. But at the same time, that was 2 months into my content making.
Mm-hmm.
Nick took the chance on me earlier in that month to help him out. And I pitched the idea to him. And I think it, to this day, has like 300 watches on a channel that has about 35, 36K followers. But Nick recognized that. The BDG guys recognized that. And I swear, I remember the day, just seeing that they followed me. I had to take an hour out of my day just to, I don't even know, just to kind of build back on my thoughts, because I felt that was a year goal for me to get to that point. So, like that's kind of the challenge with this, is you never
100%.
know when things are going to hit.
It's crazy.
And goals are going to you're going to have to make more, because goals that you don't think you'll hit on take a long time. So I guess that's a really, really long-winded way of asking this question. What is making goals and building goals for you? What has that done to benefit you? Have you gained successes off them? Is there still stuff that you're looking to accomplish?
100%. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be done. I don't think you think you'll ever be done. This is not something that like, oh, boom, like right here is where I'm done.
Yeah.
It's always been a passion of mine, right? And my friend group at home, we are all in the same fantasy league, much like everybody. Everyone has their friend group at home that no matter how many fantasy leagues you're in, that's the one that matters the most by far, hands down. And my first goal was just to win against them. Like the Twitter was mostly for me to take in fantasy knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And my next goal was I'm smarter than some of these guys that are putting articles out there. I can put articles out there somewhere. And that was a goal of mine. And then all of a sudden I didn't have this goal, but start a website, which wasn't my goal at all. I was just lucky enough to be in the right spot. And we all formed Climb the Pocket. Like, I came up with the name for it. And like 2 or 3 months beforehand, I didn't know those people. Like, goals seemingly they're great to set, right? And I love having a goal, but it's okay to deviate from it, right? And I don't have a specific goal right now. I've got small goals, but I don't have like a grand scheme goal. Like, I want to have, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers for YouTube. Is that obtainable? Easily. But like, is that where I want to settle? Not really. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not ever comfortable with just being fine. Like, I don't want to settle for like, oh, you hit your 1,500 subscriber goal. It's nice, but I always want to keep going. And it's not something that I've kind of, I don't know. It's not like a thing that is really important to me, because I live every single day with just winning that day. If I can get a tweet that has 100 likes that day, it's a good day. Like, every day is a good day that I wake up and I'm outside and it's beautiful. But there's certain things in the day that you don't expect to happen that happen. And I'm not fully I'm not a huge long-term planner. So that's why it's beautiful that I have guys that set up a calendar for me, that set up, this is when we need to record. I need you there. And I say, perfect. I'm never going to let you down. So I don't like planning long-term, because anything can happen in the short term. So I'm going to send a tweet out now, and like, it could take off, and I'm cool with just the ride. And my girlfriend hates that about me, because she's a planner and I'm nowhere near a planner. So like,
guilty. No, 100% a planner on my end.
Yeah. You're like, and you hate non-planners. 100%. Like, if you're in a group project with somebody, you don't have to say it, because that's how I am. But the difference is, I like being like at least dependable, whereas some people like that do not. I'm a go with the flow kind of guy, right? And having small goals is nice, but it's not something that I build my day around. Like, would I love to get sponsored by 1,000 different places? For sure. Like, everyone wants to be successful, but to have goals and just fixate yourself on them, sometimes it takes away from stuff that you might get not fixating yourself.
Yeah. And I get that. I mean, so again, like, just harping on this, I mean, if I was told in January of this year, I told myself that was something that was a goal for me. I told myself in January, I said, listen, I have a microphone. Um,
Yeah.
I have a computer. I have a will to do it. I was just making videos for my league, for my home league.
Oh, it's classic. Just
It
putting out
is.
some chirp videos for the
Yeah.
boys. Yeah, I love that.
And that's what I started with. And when I kind of sat back and realized, okay, we have 10 people in this league, and I'm getting 4 views on these videos, and I'm like, why am I putting in the time to reach an audience that doesn't really care for the content? So I sat with myself. I took over my sister's room. This is the office is my sister's room. I got
Is that the first time you're saying that?
no, this is well, I don't actually know. Because I've been open with our guys. I'm like, yeah, this is my sister's room. So
Breaking news right here. Tyler's
yeah,
in
this
his
this
sister's
may be
room.
breaking. I may be shattering the internet. No, she's off in college. Um, and she has her own apartment. She has no interest in living here. So this is just a wasted corner of the house. And I think, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I did. Okay, now I'm remembering. Okay, so in the snacks interview, I talked about it. This is my office, and then my room is actually the direct corner, other corner of the
Caddy
house.
corner. Yeah.
The goal was to not obviously keep my room spacious, because there's a lot of stuff going on in this room, but to keep that separation in that fantasy world and in your life world.
Like that.
Yeah, but where was I going? I mean, I just took a 360 for no reason. But sure. I mean, I have a question on this anyway, so let's dive into it. How do you keep your fantasy content world and your real life world? Because I mean,
Right.
you mentioned you have a girlfriend, you have a job. I mean, you have a life outside of what you're doing here.
Sure.
How do you kind of balance that, and making sure you're attentive to everything you've dedicated yourself to?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, sports have always been my outlet to get it out of the real world, right? I think that's kind of the idea of them. It allows you to take something that's meant for kids to play, process it, and love it like when you used to play.
Yeah.
So me getting to write about it, it's the same general feel. Like
Mhm.
it's the same idea as somebody who enjoys cooking. Like it's the same idea as somebody who loves playing music.
Yeah.
It's something that I want to be a craft for me, that I want to refine whenever I have the time to. And I understand that I'm 25 years old now. I can't have my entire life be all about fantasy, but if I continue to work on it, maybe it can be.
Yeah.
It's so I make sure that the time I have to dedicate to it, I give it my all. So when I get off work and I now don't have to commute for an hour, perfect. There's an extra hour. I'll work out in my basement. Don't have to commute to the gym for an extra 10 minutes. I can throw an extra 10 minutes into an article, and
Yeah.
it allows me to just breathe. And if there's an article that's brutal for me, I get to breathe in real life then. I can then go play 2K for an hour and a half or so. I can do whatever I want. And that's the beauty of kind of almost setting your own deadlines. Like working in finance, there's a lot of deadlines. So I know that I've got to get everything done, which is brutal since I told you that planning is not my number one strength. So I get to take the stuff that I do that I love and I can let it breathe. And if it takes an extra day, no one's going to yell at me, right? But I want it to be perfect and I don't want to rush it. So getting to balance fantasy and getting to balance real life is nice. Plus my girlfriend also goes to bed at like 9:30. So it makes it so much easier. I got those like 3 hours at the end of the night to kind of just
Yeah.
figure out whatever I want.
Look at that. So I kind of remember where I was going. Train of thought was okay, so yeah. Sorry, but it was good. It was good because I had that question. I wanted, and I forgot it earlier, and I was like, I want to get that out. So yeah, going back to where I was at. Okay, so I had the microphone, I had the computer, I had the will to do it. I had my sister's room, which was at the time I was working with very very minimal kind of standings, but I knew I wanted to make something out of this. I knew I was
Sure.
sitting at 18, and I'm like, listen, I've got 4 years of college at minimum to get the MBA. I've got 3 years plus if I feel like I want to get that contractual law degree. I could do something in 7 years. That's
Yeah,
a lot of time
100%.
to grow yourself. to a point where, yeah, I may just throw away a lot of money on school, but again, still have that backup, but I can make something out of this. And that drive, it's 100% got to be there. I mean, there's been
100%.
times, I mean, I've been doing this, 4 months. And there's no way in hell I haven't had a time where I wasn't like, why am I doing this? And I think it's very much minimal now, because I've kind of removed myself from kind of a negative situation, but I had to get a starting point.
Mhm.
So I put my energy into that, which was not good for me, passion wise, but it grew me to a point where I could, okay, bounce off of that. Let's go here and then
Sure.
grow into my passionate side of this and dedicate stuff like this interview series. I mean, this is something that really was intriguing to me, that other specifically Nick from BDG was a guy who I
Ouch.
followed his interview
That's
series to a T. I loved it. I connected with every person. I've grown to like more content creators because of it, and it's something that inspired me. I've mentioned multiple times their company. I've talked about it in the Snacks interview. They inspired me to be here. I'm not here without their passion, without their dedication to it. It made me kind of take a step back and think, you know what, I have this passion. I want to do this. So thanks to them. But I'm now able, into the space that I'm at with FSC, grow content that probably wasn't allowed. Well, not really allowed, but not really content that I was going to get, and
Right.
opportunity I was going to get with the companies I was working with before. So now I'm here, and I'm very, very passionate about this. And I mean, I have a few more questions, but just interviewing
Yeah.
you, I mean, this has just been a really, really good
Yeah,
interview.
for sure.
I'm learning stuff too. Again, 4 months. It's
It's crazy.
every day I learn something, and I'm sure you're in the same position.
And I would only be halfway through your 7 years right now. I'm only in like 3.5, almost 4 years. So like my account has only been active for, I guess, 3.5 years. So I would have still half the time that you've allotted yourself to grow even more. So like it's crazy how much I've felt like I've done in 3.5 years, but I also know
Mhm.
that I need to continue with momentum, and
Yeah,
that's a major key.
absolutely. Absolutely, and it's very evident you have that drive to do it, and making sure that you're dedicating the time to do it, because a lot of people have the drive, but sculpting out that time to do it is key. So we kind of touched on this question a little bit earlier. Do you think there's ever a point where you've reached the part of success where you can either continue doing what you're doing, or just kind of just drop everything and just go, you know what, I've made my mark?
Uh, I think when you get to that point, you then I feel like in order for me to feel like I'm there, it'd be like the beginning of something new too. Like
Oh,
for me
absolutely.
for me to feel like I've made it, I would then know that I've now have a new set of challenges, right? Like, oh, I have a spot on NFL Network or something like that, right?
Mhm.
I then have to create an entire life of that, and I have to do well in that.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure there's ever going to be a point where I'm like, this is it, because my entire life up to this point has revolved around sports. My family has grown me through sports. Like the week before the shutdown, like I was at spring training, like watching sports. Like
At
it's
spring
just
training
I was at spring training.
in
I was
Florida.
down in Florida. I was down in your neck of the woods. I went to Lakeland. I went to Jupiter, West Palm, and it was like 4 days. We went to like 3 different sites.
Yeah.
And like my grandparents live in Vero Beach down in
Okay.
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've always gone down. Like there's pictures of me as like a baby with Mike Piazza. Like I, like I'll send you pictures of our basement. Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
But like I've always been around sports. Like
Mhm.
I didn't watch Power Rangers as a kid. Like I was
Oh, geez. No,
watching
I didn't
I
either.
was watching like Stuart Scott. Like that's just how I was raised. I was raised in front of ESPN, and it's
Yeah.
always been my love. Like just knowing that there's thousands of avenues for me to take it and understand different sports. And
Mhm.
what I lacked in, size as a human, I made up for in just sports knowledge, like
Mhm.
on the field, on the court,
Yeah.
because I could always just tactically beat people because that was just who I was mentally. Like because it's my love. Like I don't tell my girlfriend, but like that was my first love and probably forever my strongest love. Like sports are just it, man.
It is. I back that. So okay, so yeah, I'll play the game of so earliest knowledge of sports for
Mm-hmm.
me. So I'm a child still. Remember
Yep.
that.
Yep. No, that's fine.
2001 born. My earliest recollection of sports was 2006.
Okay.
Specifically, big box TV, huge box
Oh,
TV.
100%. 100%. That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Detroit and St. Louis in the World Series.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that wasn't a bad one, was it?
throwback. Yeah, completely. And I'm a Cubs fan, so fuck the Cardinals. No worries. And then my other recollection was, and specifically tied to football. Hello, 06, 07 national championship, Florida, Ohio State, Florida boy. Dad was always a Florida fan. Is my recollection was it was in Arizona. I think they slated it at like 8:30, so it was really late, and I think it was obviously a Monday night. And I had school the next night, and I think I was 6 years old at the time. But Dad let me stay up through the whole game, and the only things that I remember from that game was Ted Ginn returning the kickoff, them not doing anything else, Ohio State, and I'm pretty sure it was Brandon Spikes. Helmet came off like during the play, and then he still raced after and sacked Torrey Smith or whatever his name was.
Troy Smith.
Yeah, epic play. But yeah, Chris Leak holding up the trophy, all that fun stuff. So yeah, recollection of sports. That's what I grew up on. I mean, 10 years of baseball. It started when I was 3.
Yeah, 100%.
Went to the end of my middle school career. Kind of lost passion for it. It was fine. I played some years of football as well. I mean, I'm a big guy, so what kind of translated was baseball to playing center, mainly just off the size was the reason I was put on the line as it was. But, being able to navigate a defense as well as get the ball to the quarterback was a prime thing for me. And, obviously I grew up in school ball. I could play quarterback with the, throwing arm, receive very well, but just big guys. So I was stuck on the line, unfortunately. No tight end position for me. But, yeah, okay, so kind of what is it? We're going on tangents here about sports. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess what can our audience, what can any other audiences plugging into this, what can they kind of expect from not only your personal brand, but on the pocket as well in the future?
Right. So me, I don't think personality-wise I'm ever going to change. I like just throwing out tweets, tongue-in-cheek. Like I love joking around with people, and I love putting my own slant on stats, and I love interacting with people, honestly. So I was tagged in a tweet recently, actually, where somebody said, why would I follow this person if it doesn't seem like they interact with people? And like, that was probably the most offensive thing I've ever heard on Twitter to me personally, because I love interacting with whoever talks to me, right? If you come to me with a question, I'm going to answer it. Like, I think I've got 3 message like DM requests that I haven't answered ever, but my DMs are always open. Like I want to feel like you're getting like a big brand fantasy Twitter responding to you every single time, and that's kind of my goal. I want to be personable. I want to put my face in front of people. So that's why I'm making sure I've got tons of articles coming. Jalen Rieger's, he's going to have a sick article soon. I'm going to have YouTube videos coming out every single week and maybe twice a week, at least. Who knows? But it's similar to me not putting myself in a box. I don't want to limit myself because there's always opportunities out there. I mean, it's the internet. There's a billion avenues you can go down that. I mean, realistically, I'm speaking to you because Danny invited me to be in this league, and at the same time, I think he invited me to be in the league after I shouted you out the one day, like unrelated completely.
Yeah, exactly. That we're connected, and I sorry to do it.
No, you're good.
But yeah, no, I think when I saw you had joined, I was like, I know who this is. This is it was throwing me off for such a while. And yeah, I remember the retrain, which was huge for me. So yeah, just the connection within the community is huge. And
Exactly.
I'm gonna ask something real quick too. Do you find it a challenge getting back to your following, at least when it comes to in
Yeah.
season, people DMing you, that kind of stuff?
Uh, it's gotten more challenging for sure. As it's grown, I've been less likely to put tweets out at 12:45. I'll put tweets out at 11. Like the late second push stuff is
Yeah,
brutal because it doesn't allow me to put my entire thought into it. I don't like being the guy that just puts a name. If you ask me who to start, like I want to give you a reason why, because one, it might talk you into either way, and two, it's not just me picking it out of a hat. And I want you to realize like where I'm coming from. So if it doesn't go well, you'll understand why I went that way instead of
yeah,
me like. So I love responding to tweets and I love responding to DMs. My DMs are open and I follow back pretty much everybody that follows me. And I want to make sure that I'm accessible. Like I'm not somebody that's going to big shot anybody. I've got 16, like in the grand scheme of things, 16,000 followers is small potatoes. Like I want to interact with people like I have 50 followers. Like
yeah.
it's just who I am. I've just been on the platform for
Mhm.
longer than people, and I've put the time in and
Yeah,
I've gotten lucky to network with people that have a lot more followers than me. So I love responding. I love going back and forth with people. I've been on, I think three. I've been on three. This is the third podcast this week, and then I also had our YouTube video. But
yeah,
not saying that this isn't special because I'm having a great time. So
yeah. No, this
Wait,
is by
listen,
far one of the
I
interviews.
will say you did prepare better than most people usually do. With normally when I like having questions in front of me because still getting used to the whole on camera thing. So like
Yeah.
knowing mentally preparing like an answer, it's nice.
Yeah, I feel like kind of, again. Let's just go on another tangent for a second. I think that's crucial, especially starting off relatively small. If you guys are still hanging on, hanging into this, if you're someone who is starting off relatively small in the community, there's nothing you can do more than just over prepare yourself because
Yeah.
uh, here, full disclosure. There's been a good amount of questions that I just genuinely was interested in asking you, Ryan, that
Hmm.
weren't on the show sheet. And yes, I want to keep relatively structured to the show sheet
Right.
as a flow of the overall video, but just genuine interest and being prepared is so huge. You guys can
For
never
sure.
be over prepared. Um, I'm someone who does not like typing notes on the computer. Sure, it's beneficial. Sure, people turn it into articles. I have an entire stack of paper here of just notes that I've taken throughout multiple videos that I know are here.
Hmm.
Whenever I need to reach out to them or talk about it in a video
For
while
sure.
some of the other guys are talking, I'm right here. I'm just shuffling through. Can I find it? Because again, that's part of the over preparedness. I never want to not have enough content to back my arguments, to back my takes. Again, just being prepared. And again, I appreciate you noticing
Yeah.
that.
Of course.
So yeah, we'll go back to this question because I definitely definitely 180 this. Yeah, future for your brand.
Yeah. I think just a continued growth. I mean, if you go to climbthepocket.com right now, that's a plug. You don't see too many sponsors.
Yeah,
You don't see too many sponsors. We've kind of done that strategically because I hate looking at ads that take away from the stuff.
yeah, Joe.
But especially when you're a new site, like
Yeah,
it's a tough look. So we've only had I think two sponsors, and they've been solid. I mean, we had FanDuel for a year, and we had Monkey Knife Fight last year, and
mhm.
we try to not go beyond one, just because it takes away from the content you're doing. So hopefully we can find different avenues of, I guess, revenue, just because
Yeah,
it, it's nice when it pays for itself, right? When you don't have to put any money into it, but you still get to do it. Like it's the same idea as me playing like rec basketball, like an adult men's league game. Like I love playing, but like paying $100 is kind of brutal.
Yeah.
But it's like my favorite thing, and I'm gonna pay it regardless. But it's even sweeter if somebody pays it for me. And so like, would I love to make money off this? For sure. And down the long term road, I hope so. But like short term, it's not like a major thing for me.
Yeah.
Just because the market's saturated. There's billions of people trying to do this,
Not wrong.
and if you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you're not going to make it. So I'm just doing what I love, and if it takes me where I want it to, beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's crucial, not just in growth, but I
Yeah.
guess for me, me personally, I think being able to knowingly make an impression on someone that's gonna, whether it's helping them win a fantasy championship or
Right.
it's, someone messaging me and just asking, hey man, how can we grow our brand more? And it's not like I'm getting that weekly. It's not even like I'm getting
Yeah.
that monthly. I mean, it's just occasionally someone will come to me and knowing that I can make that impression on that person, and to the point where they want to come to me first,
Mm-hmm.
and then secondly, me help them leave with whether a better
For sure.
understanding of where they're coming from, or just make my mark in any way possible. It's huge because in the end, when you strip back everything that we're doing, fantasy football is just a game. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
passion for all of us, and it's shared. Whether you're huge as a content creator, or whether you're just a follower and someone who just enjoys turning on the TV on Sundays and watching your favorite team and keeping track of the fantasy scores. I mean, we're all coming from a place of passion and being able to relate with people like you and like people that outreach to me. It's really rewarding. More
100%.
more in the personal feeling than where finance and benefits are coming from it. Now, yes, I mean, geez, I'm not going to be someone who's going to lie to you and say that I don't want to make this a career. This is
Exactly. No,
yeah,
if I can make it a career, that would be tremendous, right? But I also want to make sure that I don't try to get into it for the wrong reasons. Like I know that in order for me to be good at it, I need to want to be good at it, and like it just needs to be something innate and in me, like that. I want to be good, and like this,
yeah,
we're all mostly just it's essentially just us sitting in a basement in different rooms in different houses talking like it's one of your boys,
yeah,
like it's all just to think, I don't know, you're going to have a career off of just something you'd make fun of your friends for. Like you're just talking football with your boys. Would have been crazy like 10 years ago because it was
oh
it
yeah,
was like Mel Kiper and Matthew Berry, and that was it. Now
hmm
there's billions of ways you can make money off of it. You just kind of have to find your own. Like
yeah,
it's tough to break into large companies, but if you can do your own thing, I think that's where you can just benefit.
yeah. And I know you're not. I know your goal wasn't to undersell, but just to make a point on this, the friendships I built. I mean,
100%.
uh, geez, they're lifelong. I mean, I've never met any of the people I work with in person. I've never,
Exactly.
you
I
know,
haven't either. I've literally never met a single person that writes for me at Climb the Pocket in person. I will play video games with Dan for 3 hours after this, but and it happens every night, but
yeah,
I literally have never met them in person. He lives 7 hours away. Pennsylvania is a sneaky big state, so that's also a thing.
long, yeah, Florida too. Yeah. By the way, that's got to be a connection with us, by the way, because we're Xbox boys too with what
Oh,
we've got going. So
beautiful.
mental back of the mind. We'll finish
Oh
this
yeah.
up with a lightning round. So we do this with all of our interviews. Just fun questions, kind of, you know, we're out of the business end of it. The meat and potatoes
Yeah.
of the interview, and it's time for cake. Lightning round. Start off with the first question. Fantasy football savior. It's how I kind of phrase this. A guy that's won you that
Yep.
championship. You guys know me. I've got the Raptors. I've
Oh,
got some
you
jerseys up
got your
here.
boys. I was wondering what those were
All right.
from, but
All
now
right.
I get it.
So we'll go through it. McCaffrey.
Good.
What do I got to say? Mark Andrews was last year, completely unexpected tight end. big hit in my home league.
Huge.
Matty Ice, those every other year. I'll take it.
You want a fun little fact on Matty Ice?
Do it.
He went to the same grade school as me.
There you go. Boston College up there. This is where he went to college, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, he's from my hometown, went to my church. So me and Matt Ryan, we're pretty much the same.
Your boy. Yeah, absolutely.
That 6 degrees of whatever thing where you're like only 6 degrees you're like 2 degrees away from Matt Ryan. So there's a little thing for you.
Yeah. Look at that. And then the saddest one.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Woo! Depression. Draft day.
At first I was like, oh, Khalil Mack, and then I was like, oh no, it's Marlon.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, Khalil Mack can't win me a championship, but Marlon Mack can. Forever in my heart. You know you're there. I've got some other stuff. I've got a Lightning jersey. Go Bolts.
Go Flyers, baby. Let's go.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Your fans are disgraced.
Listen, we were this close to getting Steven Stamkos that 1 year from you guys, but you know.
The only thing I remember about Flyers fans and playoff appearances is you guys throwing bracelets on the ice during the Capitals game. So
I was hoping that wasn't the only thing.
Let's go.
It was like somebody died and they gave out free bracelets, and we decided to throw them at the ice. We had to have Wayne Simmons get on a microphone and tell him to stop.
Oh,
sickening.
I miss Wayne.
Oh, I miss the Wayne train. Oh, he
what a fantastic two-way player that'll be aggressive for you. He's a playoff guy.
He's a real 200-foot player. He mucks and grinds. He gets pucks in deep. Yeah, of course.
Love it. And then what is it? So he goes to Nashville for a year, and that was a waste. And then what is he? He's with New Jersey right now. Like,
he's
ew.
He's
gross. No one wants to go to New Jersey. I know Notorious Fantasy is a Devil fan, so that one's for you. So yeah, well, did I even answer that?
Yeah.
Fantasy football savior.
My savior. I've got 2 from my 2 major championships in my home league. Odell Beckham Jr. I picked him up his rookie year. I know. I'm sorry. His rookie year, he was disgusting. He was disgusting. He won me my championship because I paired him with Calvin Johnson. I think it was Greg Olson, Marshawn Lynch. Andre Ellington was on my team as well.
All right.
Oh, my team was disgusting. Andre Ellington was with the Cardinals.
Oh wow, that's way back.
And I think that was 2013. I don't know.
Odell year was 2013. Yeah,
2013. And then
14.
So last year, I had another big championship. I want to say AJ Brown, but I can't do it. I think it has to be Derrick Henry. No. Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones' final answer. He had the same amount of touchdowns as Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. He's not going to see even close to that this year, and I'm sick for him. I am, personally. Another Boston College guy, A.J. Dillon's going to take his touchdowns. And I hate Matt LaFleur.
Are you a tape guy, by the way? Have to ask.
Yeah, more tape than analytics. I hate, I understand Chase Claypool ran a sub 4.5, but please don't compare him to Megatron because you haven't watched him play. You know that, and I hate Chase Claypool. I don't know why. He's just not a good wide receiver to me.
So you must hate AJ Dillon as well because that tape, it's garbage.
He should be good, right? But he's not.
He's not.
He's the third running back there. It was a terrible pick. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to New England. Put it on the board.
So I have to ask this. This isn't on the show sheet either. We're just going on tangent today.
That's fine.
Okay, so you said you're a tape guy.
Mm-hmm.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Dude, I'm sick that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going in the second round.
Thank you. Oh, finally.
Because the people telling you to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the second round are the people that took Damian Williams in the second round last year, and that didn't work for anybody.
Yes.
Tear
into him.
I did a mock draft last night, and he went in the second round before Austin Eckler, and I almost threw my laptop.
Oh my god, that's so mad. I'm quitting the industry.
Yeah, exactly. I was so sick. It's on Climb the Pockets YouTube with Steve Catalano.
Quick plug.
Good plug. It's a plug right there, baby.
Yeah. So here's why I hate him, and people always get on to me. Joe Brady gave up with him in pass blocking, even against teams like Vanderbilt.
Exactly.
Defense sucks. So he can't pass block, which is you may be like, that's not anything at all. Really? Check out Ronald Jones last year. Nothing. You know why? Because Bruce Arians was like, he can't protect my stupid quarterback Winston. Bye-bye. You're not
Yeah.
getting touches. You know who can? Alberto Goombawale. And he got touches. It translates.
And
Accept that.
also, I don't think they want Pat Mahomes having his knee taken out. So they're going to get like Derwin Thompson in there. So
Exactly. Big truth. And then the running efficiently. Can you check out 2018? Someone look at it. Just look at it. Stop watching 2019. Oh, look how effective he is. Yeah, Joe Burrow is throwing 90-yard passes down the sideline. Yeah, duh, your running game's gonna be open. That's how life is. Check out Percy Harvin with the 2008 Gators offense. Like, yeah, when you got Tim Tebow as your quarterback, you know your running back's gonna be relatively effective. That's just how it works. Quick tangent. Okay. All right, we'll go to another question here. Content creators, you kind of emulate yourself maybe off of, inspired by, or at least watch relatively often.
Right. Definitely Matt Miller. I like Matt Miller stuff for sure. And Matt Berry's the GOAT, so I'm not going to get away from Matt Berry.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's the reason why his industry is so big. So if I'd have a statue, it'd probably be Matthew Berry. And anybody who made the show The League, I appreciate you.
Big truth. Thank you, FX. We love you. Please bring it back.
I wish Kevin didn't say he was in 9/11 and it would still be on. Did you know that?
Explain again.
Kevin from The League, right?
Yeah.
Married to Jenny.
Yeah.
Said he was in 9/11. At some point, he said he was like in one of the towers.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. And that's the reason why The League is no longer a show.
That's depressing. I need a moment of silence here during the interview. This is heartbreaking.
It's absolutely brutal. Maybe
just dropped. And there was never discussion to bring it back. It just dropped. And it was huge.
Yeah. I needed Maurice Jones-Drew dancing with Ruxin.
Amen. My gosh. That's the reason we have a trophy in our league. What?
Exactly.
The winner of our trophy doesn't have it. It's sitting right next to me. Yeah, I'm not the winner. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and eat me up in the comments. Yeah, here's a big middle finger that I'm not gonna show to you. We'll move on. Dream jersey swap. So you're an Eagle fan. So okay, so I did this with Snacks. You cut out your team. You're on the Eagles. This is your fantasy. You're playing for the Eagles. You just want a hard game. Who's on the other side you're trading jerseys with?
I think it's JJ Watt. I don't because JJ Watt just seems like the nicest guy ever, but he also wants to murder you, and he's going to be remembered as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Well, it has to be early in the season because
yeah. Or I'll get his nice pullover. That'd be sick. Hey JJ, send your crutches over here, and I'll give you.
Oh my
god! Now I don't know if I want JJ Watt.
We just bodied him for no reason.
Yeah, now he's gonna find me and murder me like you did on Peyton's places with Peyton. Honestly, it's tough to say any non-Eagles. I'm the number one Carson Wentz fanboy in the entire world. So if I could just sneak into the locker room late night and just take Carson's jersey or some socks or something, it'd be cool.
You know, Dak Prescott
stinks.
Yeah, there you go. But I think he has the same amount of playoff wins as Tim Tebow. So yeah, real superstar he is. We're all for Dallas hate on this channel because Danny just provides way too much of it and unnecessary for a team who's finished 8-8, didn't make the playoffs in probably the worst division all last year. LOL.
The NFC East was great last year. That's fake news. We were great last year. There is no reason to slander us. We almost lost to the Giants in Week 17 to not make it in the playoffs, but we won.
Hilarious.
It would have sucked. It would have sucked so bad.
That would have been truth. Just real quick, one more tangent for the episode because why not? The Giants they're going to compete for the top of this division. They look so good this year. I'm backing it. Body me. Go ahead, do it.
Listen, I'm not going to. Daniel Jones was on pace for 32 touchdowns last year.
He's a handsome man.
Eli Manning only did that one time in his entire career. He only had above 31 touchdowns once. He threw 35. That's his career high. Daniel Jones almost did it year one. Slayton's nasty. Saquon's nasty. Deion Lewis, ex-Eagle, traded him to the Browns.
Healthy Evan Ingram.
Healthy. Golden Tate is going to be huge for Darius Slayton because
that veteranship is.
They're very similar wide receivers, at least in my opinion. They resemble each other on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have Sterling Shepard. Their defense is going to be better. They're going to be 7-9. Not that concerned. Go Birds.
I honestly no. I don't think that's phenomenal for that team.
No, for sure. They're going to be better. They're going to be better than they were last year. They should beat the Redskins. The Redskins will be 6-10.
Split with the Cowboys.
They'll split with the Cowboys. They'll take it in Jerry world, which will be hilarious.
Which would be hilarious.
Yeah. So Eagles win the division at 14-2. So it's fine.
Okay, so schedules just dropped. So before you guys rip our takes here, schedules just dropped during interview, and I haven't looked at them at all.
I'm just looking at you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So we'll bounce off of that. This is a fun question because it has nothing to do with fantasy.
Right.
You get to be a fruit.
Right.
You're gonna be
kiwi for sure.
There you go.
A little fuzzy on the outside.
I need no explanation.
A little fuzzy.
I don't want anything.
Well, aggressive looking. Nice and sweet on the inside. A little green. You got stuff to learn.
I got stuff. Definitely not liked by a good majority of this world, and you don't really work in a smoothie.
You put me on a playa bowl. Pretty good. It's supposed to be healthy. Do people like it? They say they do.
Yeah, try kiwi in a smoothie. That's brutal. It tastes like pepper, like the seeds. I don't know. They mess with me. Anyways, we're not a smoothie. We're a fruit. A great answer. Electric answer. We'll bounce off to this. If you could be famous off of anything that wasn't sports related, because we talked about it, big sports people here.
Right.
But it's not going to be sports related. What is it going to be? And why is it being a pickup? Well, that doesn't even count because it's sports. I have nothing. You're going to have to come up with something, though, because it's your question.
You see, I read this question. You provide a great show sheet. I had no idea what to put. I think there's no inspirational story here for me. I can't be inspirational speaker. It's not really who I am. Let's go rapper. I'll be a rapper, Everyone loves the kid that tried to rap from high school. That could have been me.
Yeah. Was this a pursuitable career for you?
No, never rapped once in my life, but enjoy.
I
can't sing, but I like music. It makes sense.
There you go. Maybe you'll just wrap the interior of houses with a color, and then there you go. You get famous for that. So a couple more before we get you out of here. Any hot takes right now, fantasy football wise? We talked about Wentz. You can't give a Wentz one.
That's fine. It was originally Michael Gallup was going to outscore Amari Cooper. That was what I was sticking my flag in. But now it's I can't really say that because CD Lamb's there, and I'm sick about it.
He'll probably play cornerback for how depthful their cornerback situation is.
That is true. And Amari Cooper can't catch, so he might be out there too. But I think Zach Ertz finishes outside the top 5 at tight end this year.
There you go. You know what? I have him. I think I have him. I just did my ranking. Come on. I'll give you a sneak.
Come on, Tyler. Come on.
Middle, Kelsey, Andrews, and then I think I went Andrew. No, I think I went Ingram. I think I was you know what? A full healthy season of Ingram is ridiculous.
Higbee, Henry. Dude, he can finish outside the top 10. He's not going to, but no. Dallas Goedert is disgusting. I met that man in person.
And then Gesicki and Fant, by the way, no Dolphin. I'm a Dolphin fan. I'm all over the place. Don't ask questions. So Gesicki, they added no offensive weapon. And he's still a very, very good vertical threat.
He's a Pennsylvania boy. He can dunk basketballs. I'm sure they show that all the time. Very athletic. I love Gesicki. He was gross at Penn State.
Yeah, he should be good. You only make ESPN if you can jump out of a pool.
That's true.
So, final question. This is a big one. This is the biggest thing I'm going to ask you in the entirety of this show sheet, in the entirety of this way too long interview that we went on remarkably long tangents for. Where are you finishing in this expert league? And it can't be first because that's where I'm at.
I mean, this podcast was going well up until this point. It's been 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. I guess if you're not first, you're last. So if I'm not going to first, I'm burning this league to the ground. Everyone's getting my picks.
Look at that. We've given up our own picks. By the way,
listen, if I'm not going in first, I'm making sure you're not coming first. I'm trading everyone to everybody. I'm going to be running a Larry Fitzgerald, My quarterback's going to be probably Baker Mayfield because no one's going to
there
pick
you
him
go.
up.
Unproductive as hell. There you go.
Duke Johnson's going to be my running back.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good team. You should watch out. Gerald Everett will be my tight end. So
there we go. How about you get yourself some shares of David Njoku? Get yourself some more backup tight ends. Anyways, Tyler Higbee's remarkably low on my tight end rankings, by the way.
So I should pick up O.J. Howard for sure.
There you go. So that's going to conclude what was a phenomenal interview. I actually enjoyed this a heck ton. Keep it clean for the kids, PG. You know what it's like at home. Again, excellent interview. Do you have anything you want to quick shout out real quick?
I think we plugged a lot. Like I think everyone knows what I'm about. You can follow me at Bootleg Fantasy. You can follow my website at climbthepocket.com. Or YouTube's Climb the Pocket. There's somebody who tried to take Climbing the Pocket, which was aggressive. We had like a weird turf war with them on Twitter back in the day. But Climb the Pocket is ours, and we will be putting out weekly videos. Next week, we are doing a top 12 quarterback ranking because we're starting to get into rankings. So that's what's coming next. Not sure when this comes out, so it might be there. Your lucky day.
Yeah. So looking at pulling up a calendar on my phone.
Today is the 7th. Yeah, so a week.
17th.
In a couple days. The 17th. Boom. My favorite day of the year, 5/17.
Yeah? Is it birthday?
No.
Okay, so yeah. So we're just bullshitting off the top of our heads because that's where we're at right now. Hour and a half in this or however long. Who cares? Because I had a phenomenal time. Ryan, we appreciate you being here. Look forward to maybe featuring you on a league video once in a while, or we'll definitely be bringing up your name because off of what you just told me about what you'll do for this league, you're going to be in there a few times.
Please make sure the mustache isn't included, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this week, and the draft is Saturday. People don't forget this, even though it happened last week.
Yeah, exactly. Go back. You know what? Go back. Look 2 weeks ago. You'll watch that whole live stream.
You'll see me bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but you'll watch this on the 17th and say, wow, his team's actually kind of sick. So,
and we're going to get you in. I'm going to get you in at some point to talk about what the hell you're doing.
I'm golfing at 9, so I'll be on the sweeper app aggressively, and then I'll speed home. I'll be home by the start of the draft, so it'll be perfect.
12:30. Because we're starting live at 12.
I know. Listen, I read the messages on the internet from you guys. Like, I got it.
There we go. I love it. I love the support. All right, guys, if you made it this far, I'm
shocked.
Good for you. I mean, honestly, you must have had time. I mean, you really could have watched like anything. You could have watched like a what is it? Adam Sandler movie.
Dude, we're at the Titanic at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've reached remarkable numbers. I mean, you could have gone to the opera house, maybe watched a show, come back, driven home, and still probably caught the end of this. But we appreciate you guys being here. Seriously. Like, subscribe. If you're this far, it's because you liked it or you hated it to a passion where you just wanted to see where it was going. So dislike it.
Thanks for showing up, Mom. I appreciate that for being here.
There you go. Shout out to Mom. My mom's not watching this. I'm not worried about it. Comment down below if you have anything. If you have a favorite fruit, if you're going to be a fruit, who are you going to be? Maybe you're not a fruit person. Maybe you like being a vegetable. I don't care. I don't know what you are. Comment that down below. Either way, just shoot something down there. Again, Ryan, we appreciate you being on.
Listen, it was perfect, Tyler, and I look forward to it. And we'll collab. We'll be in videos together because this was perfect. You know,
be in touch. I'm touching you.
All right, guys. You guys.
See ya.